Hello everyone and welcome to the next Star Mentor Programming tutorial video. In this video I'm hoping to demonstrate use cases of the primitive types in our actual code. So first I'm going to delete everything that we have right here and just start up fresh. And I also want to just make a little correction on the last video, I guess. So all those things I showed in the last video are called primitive types, and they're all always lowercase. Normally types are capital, but for primitive types, they're always lowercase. I just think that that was a little thing I probably should have mentioned in the last video. So I just want to make sure you know that primitive types are always lowercase, but all other types should be capital unless they don't follow the naming conventions, which they should. And I haven't seen anyone not follow it. So yeah, primitive types are lowercase. Every other type, like string, is capital, or even main. It's sorry, I'm going off track. So um, yeah, let's try to create something. So we showed off the first type we showed off was char. So I'm gonna create a char, and um, let's give it a name because it's first you do the type and then we give it a name. So we'll call it my favorite letter. And now I need to give it a value. Now, if you remember, we surrounded our string earlier whenever we were using the println function. We surrounded with double quotes. But if you ever want to create a char, you use single quotes instead. So now I'm going to put in whatever my favorite letter is. I'm going to put in, how about J? Because that's the first letter of my name. So, and then don't forget to end your statements with a semicolon just like this. And now I've created my char. And I can, of course, system out println this if I wanted to. And then print out my favorite letter, just like that. And then don't forget your semicolon. And right here, it's going to print out my favorite letter. So, yeah, that's how you can use the char type. There's a few other use cases. I honestly don't generally use it that much. So, next type is the byte. And it, of course, can store just a pretty small number. So we're going to say my favorite small number. And we're going to give this a value of, how about -64. Perfect. And then we can also print out this one, system.out.println, my favorite small number. And just like that, we print it out, and it's going to give us -64, just like that. Perfect. Um, and then just to save time, we could do it with a short. It's the same thing because a short can hold anything a byte can. We could do it with an int. Perfect. And we could do it with a long. So yeah, those were all our numbers. So byte, short, int, long. And then you have chars for characters. And then now we have our floating point numbers. The first one I want to demonstrate is the double, and you'll see why I go in this order in a second. So let's say I create it, and then let's say 64.5. Let's give this also a better name. My favorite decimal number. We're gonna correct our name right there, and then let's try this real quick. And there we go. We've printed out our number. Now you can see it's worked just fine. Our decimal point is right there. If we type in float, however, Java does a little weird thing where it automatically assumes that if there's a decimal point, it assumes that it's a double. If you want to make sure it's a float, you have to put a capital F or a lowercase f after it to basically tell Java, hey, this is a float. I'm not giving it a double to a float. It's a float to a float. Um, and then that will make it work. That's just a little weird, quirky thing that Java does. And then the last thing I want to demonstrate with numbers is, say you have like a really long number. So let's say we have, I don't know, a views count. And we're going to store this as a long because it's long, right? And then we're going to go, I don't know, let's say it's 4,036,323, I don't know. So basically what I wanted to say here was that you can store a big number and you can put underscores in between it to separate out the characters. And this is giving me that same thing. It's thinking that this is an int, but if I put an L at the end, now Java knows, hey, this is a long, so I actually can store a number that's this big, because the integer limit in Java is 2 million, but we want to go bigger, so we use a long. And then we could keep going. Whoopsie, did not mean to do that. I don't know, just like that. and we can keep going, but there is still a limit with long. And then of course we can print out that number, but you'll see if we try to store it, there it is right there, and it's removed our underscores, but if we try to store this as an integer, it's just not going to let us, no matter what we do. Even if we don't have this, it won't work. So that is basically how you're going to use these basic data types and some examples. Oh, I actually forgot one, my bad. The bool, the boolean. So let's say we create a boolean. Let's get rid of this for now. Let's call it is open. So that'll be like this. Let's say we're making a claw, right? Is open. We're gonna make it equal to false, and then we can print that out. Whoopsie, not print. Print ln, because that's gonna print the whole line. Is open, and that's gonna print out false, just like that. Perfect.